Hey guys, how's it going? It's pretty high up here, and it's getting hard to breathe. Anyways, today I believe we're talking about Carl and Ellie. Whoa! Hey, stop this! Let me go! Help! Hey, welcome back to the channel. Recently, I've been watching movies that I really enjoyed when I was younger, and one of those movies was Up. In this movie, we follow an old man by the name of Carl and this kid Russell, who follows Carl on his journey to Paradise Falls. This movie is a masterpiece and truly brings a tear to my eye every time I watch it, which is why you should watch it before this video. But this time, while I was watching it, something strange caught my eye. Instead of a tear, it was mystery. Is Ellie real? Now, you might be thinking to yourself right now that, of course, Ellie was real. Why wouldn't she be? And to that I say, yeah, I guess that's pretty good reasoning. Just like, I guess aliens are real because why wouldn't they be? And other than that, we never really get confirmation that she is real. Yes, we see in Carl's memories that she's real, but past that, we don't see anything else. Please, go ahead, tell me where we see Ellie or hear about her from another character other than Carl. Other than this sequence of memories, we have no proof she actually existed. In fact, the lack of evidence implies that, well, she doesn't exist at all. Or at the very least, this relationship they had was fake. Actually, the only memory that we have of Ellie that seems to be real and isn't altered is at the start of the movie when Carl first meets Ellie. To be honest, a lot of this movie just doesn't seem to make much sense in the slightest the closer you look into it. You're telling me this old man planned to take his house and put it on Paradise Falls with balloons. In fact, he's been planning this so long he knows exactly how much balloons to cut to slowly descend and drop this boy off safely. Or what about the fact that this house is able to travel so fast in the air it makes it to Paradise Falls in what seems to be a couple of hours because of what? A storm? Okay, quick interruption here, courtesy of my geography teacher. This, I suppose, happens to planes depending on the storm. So I guess maybe this would have happened, but besides the point. All of this, however, would start to make sense if Carl was insane. Wait. Before you click off, hear me out at least, and listen to the evidence. Let's start off with the fact that he literally assaults a guy at the start of the movie. Not very sane-like behavior if you ask me, but oh well, doesn't matter. Carl really wants to go to Paradise Falls, so he's been collecting balloons and refilling them consistently with helium so he could go there, which definitely would cost a lot more money than simply buying a plane ticket, which, I should remind you, he already has tickets to go on, so why not just spread Ellie's ashes or something like that onto Paradise Falls? It's not like when we lose someone, we take their entire house and put it on the hill they wanted to see. Then he is offered an unknown amount of money so companies can industrialize his land. So why not take the money they are offering you and go to Paradise Falls that way? And no, it's not because he won't have a place to live, because like I said earlier, he has been planning to uproot his entire house for at least a couple months. He isn't worried in the slightest where he's going to live. Just look at all these balloons. This guy is dedicated. Okay, let's just ignore all of this and chalk it up to Pixar characters being Pixar characters. So Carl, after assaulting the man, is going to be forced to go to a nursing home, so he takes off to Paradise Falls. But there's a slight issue here, and it's not that there isn't enough balloons. It's the fact that all of these balloons are held down by tarp. So you're telling me that the balloons that can lift up an entire house, no, sorry, rip an entire house from the ground, can't lift up a tarp? What? How does that even make any sense? Which brings me to my next point, which is throughout the movie we see Carl talking to Ellie, even though she's clearly not here. This does make sense for a grieving man, but why does Russell also start interacting with Ellie, even stating that Ellie agrees with him?
You believe this, Ellie?
Ellie? Hey Ellie, could I keep the bird? Uh-huh. She said for you to let me.
But I told him no.
This genuinely doesn't make any sense unless Russell isn't real, or at the very least, some parts of him aren't real. I mean, what's easier to believe? An old man with delusions or two people seeing ghosts? Still not convinced? Well, let's take a look at an earlier scene where, well, I'll let you take a look.
Huh?
Did you catch it? Carl, who knows there shouldn't be anyone else here, and no one should be able to knock. Carl, who is sitting high and above in the sky, where there's no neighbors, no one out there to try and buy his home, isn't startled at all when he hears knocking. If anything, he seems annoyed and shrugs it off. This suggests that he is used to hearing noises and having possible hallucinations. If this isn't screaming crazy, I don't know what is. I mean, look at the rest of his journey, for crying out loud. He constantly switches from this forest setting to this mountainous setting when it would make a lot more sense if he just stuck to the mountainous setting. See? So then that means he's climbing this mountain off camera. He's climbing this mountain and then going back down it and then climbing it again and going back down it to reach Paradise Falls. And then to top everything off, he finds a regime of, get this right, talking dogs and a long lost hero which should be well into his 90s, if not his hundreds, yet he's still extremely fit and acrobatic. Oh, and did I forget to mention the implications of this long lost hero being here for decades where no one was able to find him except an old man with a flying house? All of these dogs you see here can't be the original ones he left with, as they'd all be long dead. So he must have some inhumane breeding grounds for dogs, which is just a whole can of worms that's just thrown in for the sake of it. To be quite frank with you, this is a disturbing thought for this PG-13 movie, but we're not going to get into this. After all of this, Carl manages to fly the blimp back to town, and happily ever after. Which, if you still believe he's a sane old man, I guess fair enough. There's nothing I can say to change your mind. It's not like he's a fugitive that kidnapped a young boy and ran away from the law after he was being forced to go to a nursing home. But suddenly, at the end of the movie, he's not forced to go. That would be crazy, and almost make this theory fact, wouldn't it? Oh, that's, right. Okay. That's exactly right. This was all fake. Carl, an old man, hands over his bags to the nursing home agency and asked to be given a minute to just sit down. After he has sat down on his couch, he starts to daydream until he starts to hear knocking. Knocking that seems to be reality breaking through. It gets louder and louder until he has to eventually check on it, causing him to be startled, and the nursing home agency, who Carl now sees as Russell, barges in and likely forces Carl to join them in the car. Let's start from the beginning. Carl is an introverted boy who has no friends and is pretty weird overall. He meets a girl named Ellie who forces Carl to be friends with her, but she quickly gets over Carl, or they only remain as friends. Carl, who isn't able to handle this, creates a reality where they fall in love and get married, but can't have kids, which is what makes this delusion so much easier to feed. Just look at this memory. Carl isn't crying. This is exactly the reality he wants. A wife that sits in the house all day, after all, is much easier to pretend is there when there aren't kids who are supposed to run around and talk to the neighborhood. After decades, Carl assaults a man who presses charges against Carl. Carl is ordered to go to a nursing home, which is his breaking point. He enters a state of delusion where he believes he is on an adventure with a neighborhood kid, an adventure where he is finally able to meet his hero, a reality where Carl saves the day and doesn't have to pay for his crimes. Hey, if you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing, and while you're at it, why not hit the like button? It really helps motivate me to make content, and if you want something covered, then please leave it in the comments below. Anyways, see you.